Hi everyone, welcome to the Bourbon Obsessed New Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free, and therefore money-free, bourbon podcast for Monday, August 5th. I am Ed from BourbonObsessed.com, also known on Instagram as Bourbon_Obsessed. I publish bi-weekly newsletters featuring the latest bourbon news and releases, and also do this podcast version for your listening pleasure. My usual co-host and bourbon aficionado, Dean Langdon, is back from his travels, so he's here again with me today. Dean, how are you doing?
Just great this weekend. Just had an interesting weekend in St. Louis last weekend. This week I've been to a couple of bourbon events. You and I were both fortunate to attend a great event at RD1 Distillery yesterday with our friend Barry Briniger. So, and the Lexington Bourbon Society. That was a great way to spend an afternoon. They got a beautiful distillery there.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. We got to try a whole bunch of not the usual types of wood finishes, many from South America with...
Yeah, I mean, what they're doing
flavors.
with wood, and they're, what do they call them, Dr. Wood? They've got a PhD in like wood history or wood science, which I didn't know there was a PhD in wood science, but really experimental stuff with some interesting wood.
That's right, Dean. The Dr. Wood that you are referring to is RD1's R&D, Research and Development, Master Distiller. And his name is Jared Gollahue, PhD, and he was previously at the University of Kentucky.
Variations.
Yeah. No, they're doing some cool things. Great event, and yeah, thanks to Barry and RD1 for having us there, and that was an event with the Lexington Bourbon Society.
Yeah, thanks for the Bourbon Society for setting that up. You know, it's one of those things that makes your dues for that well worthwhile, right? You get sort of not behind the scenes, but special treatment when you go to Bourbon Society.
Stop trying to get your dues waived.
We know that's not going to happen. You know, this is one of those deals like, okay, they support charities and all that good stuff, so it's worth it. It's very much worth it. So, so we got some new releases this week, I hear.
We do, but nowhere near as many as last week or last time, where people were complaining that our podcast was too long, even though we were less than 3 minutes per release, which I thought was pretty amazing.
We're trying to get efficient at this, but it's dependent on the market.
No,
right?
When there's 22 new releases, there's just so quickly we can go and not say nothing. So
think of all the producers out there, folks, with stuff waiting to release. It's going to go on for a while.
Well, I'm sure we're only getting this little August lull, but we know what September is going to bring.
Oh, we're looking forward to it.
So that's going to be the 6 or 7 hour show, probably. Well, we'll see.
I'm sure there's people out there who are looking for 6 and 7 hour podcasts. We're going to fit that bill. There's 6 of them that are going to find us.
I've seen YouTubes go that length, and people seem to watch them. So
yeah.
I don't know.
But
no, I don't have that in me. We're too old. That's for the kids out there.
Yeah.
Right.
What should we start with?
Well, why don't we start with the bottle that's in front of us, which is one of 3 that have just come out. So 15 Stars has announced First West, a new line extension featuring 3 distinct bourbon expressions: small batch, toasted oak, pictured here, and extra-aged 8-year-old bourbon whiskeys. Our goal with 15 Stars First West was to create the same high-quality, award-winning whiskey at an approachable cost to our consumers, said Ricky Johnson, co-founder of 15 Stars. The small batch and toasted oak releases use a blend of 5, 6, and 7-year-old Kentucky bourbons, which include proprietary red, white, and blue heritage corns, marking the first time 15 Stars has used its own distillate in a blend. The extra-aged expression combines 8 and 9-year-old bourbons for added complexity. All are crafted using the brand's flavor proofing process and are available now at select retailers nationwide and online at their website. And the First West, this is going to be hard to say 3 times in a row, First West Small Batch is 102 proof and it's priced at $59.99 SRP. The Toasted Oak is 98 proof and SRP is $69.99. And the Extra Aged is 100 proof and priced at $79.99.
Well, I see what you did there. You didn't say First West after all the others. So that couldn't take it easy. I understand. So, 15 Stars is a great...
I'm still on my coffee. Yeah, okay. It's 10:30 in the morning, folks. We're just looking at the bourbon at the moment. It's coffee time.
That's right, yeah.
In our Bourbon Obsessed mug.
It's a beautiful blue tinged bottle. It's sort of old, what I would call old timey glass, which is part of, I think, the marketing efforts there. But I'm more interested in the bourbon. This is a great middle market entry for them. They had a higher end product. The price points, the proof points, all I think are very thoughtful. It'll be interesting to see how they do with this. I'm sure it's a good product, and I toasted oak is always fun. Toasted barrels appeal to some people and not so much to others, but I think that'll be a fun one to try, and so that's why I've got it out here for y'all to look at.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be trying this soon and reviewing it. And there's a lot interesting going on with it. That value is definitely there. 5, 6, and 7 year for $60 and $70 basically, and 8 and 9 year for $100 is quite good. But then, the corns they're using in there are really interesting. They come from, if you don't know the history, and I forgot the name of the popcorn brand. Sorry, Rick and Ricky. But the Rick and Ricky have a popcorn brand which is very well known, and it uses these heirloom corns, which are the red, white, and blue corns for the popcorn. I think one of them, there's a black corn too, I believe.
Okay.
But
I don't know that brand, but I've seen that.
To clarify, the family popcorn brand is called Black Jewel Gourmet Specialty Popcorn, and the heirloom corn used in that is primarily the black corn.
Stores,
but that's the story behind these corns. So those are the pop. My understanding is those are the popcorn corns that are in here. Now they're not making up the entirety of the distillate in the small batch in the toasted oak, because I believe they've been distilling a while now. I think it's getting around 4 years or so.
I was going to say, if this has some of their distillate and it's 5, 6, and 7 years.
It's getting to 5 years, but I don't think it's getting to 7.
Yeah.
So, wow, 5. Time flies.
Well, that's really interesting. That goes back to historically. Farmers had leftover grain, and so they distilled it. That's sort of what they're doing here. They're growing too much popcorn, so they're having to distill bourbon, but they're doing a great job. So.
But I've been very excited to try the whiskeys made with their own corn, and I've been to Bardstown Bourbon Company because that's where it's distilled, where these are fermenting, and they definitely have a very unique look to them for the colors of the corn. So I've been very excited to try them, and even though these, I don't know if they're going to get to ones that are 100% their corn. I assume they will at some point as they age up. So right now, I guess I don't know exactly what they're blended with. I don't know, because they have their own big stock of distillate, and then they have Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Could we assume it's Bardstown Bourbon Company?
We could
product,
assume,
but we don't know for sure.
No,
to our viewers,
because we know their older ones are not, because some of their older ones have out-aged what Bardstown Bourbon, because Bardstown Bourbon Company is now up to. Well, it could be everything in here, because Bardstown Bourbon Company is getting very close to 9 or more than. I don't know.
I think so. I don't think they don't have anything 10. So
no.
So, I know 15 Stars does a rye product. It'll be interesting to see if they add a rye to this mid-level line, because right now we've just got bourbons, right? There's age differences and proof differences, but there's not a rye product. So,
well, if memory serves me, the rye product is also called First West, because they had come out with a First West rye and a First West bourbon a while back.
Okay,
which are bottled like the rest of their line, which isn't called that. So I was a little concerned there'd be a little brand confusion when this line came out, also being called First West, but it's got a completely different bottling.
Right.
So yes. But
there's a neat video on their website showing them making the bottles, which is, actually like one of the glass going into the mold and that kind of thing. So it was sort of cool.
And we will have reviews of all of these new ones soon, but there's reviews on BourbonObsessed.com of, I think, virtually everything they've ever released up to now. So I'm a big fan.
I was going to say, Ed's a big fan, and so for whatever that's worth, try this stuff out. I'm looking forward to trying these. I think it's a good move for them. Even though there's plenty of product on the market, they don't have anything at this level, and their reputation should help sell this mid-level stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So moving on. So New Riff Distilling is celebrating its 11th anniversary with the 2025 Headliner, a limited edition blend showcasing some of the distillery's earliest and most distinctive whiskeys. The blend includes 28% 11-year-old corn whiskey, 27% 11-year-old bourbon whiskey, 15% 10-year-old Balboa Rye whiskey, 15% 10-year-old rye whiskey, and 15% 8-year-old Aroostook malted rye whiskey. This, and for those that don't know, those ones with the special names are all whiskeys that have been released by New Riff in the past.
And some heirloom grains.
Right. This special release is priced at $150 per 750 milliliter bottle, with a portion of proceeds benefiting the Brighton Center. It was available for purchase online only beginning August 1st, 2025 at 11 a.m. For pickup at the distillery. And for those of you that got my newsletter, that did come out before the release, but unfortunately this is after the release, and I believe it's sold out in about 5 minutes, so it's gone. So yeah, this is now more for historical purposes, right. But you can still try it at New Riff. And the last release, which I was not fortunate enough to get a bottle of, was actually quite good, and it was also I don't remember the blend in that offhand.
I don't remember it either. I was fortunate enough to get the first one. I didn't get this one, so we'll have to get together, Ed, and actually bring those bottles.
Yeah, I was quick enough to get this one.
We'll have to do our own flight, although I might just drive up to New Riff and do it there. I guess I know they offer both of them as part of a flight, which is great for them to do that. They've got an amazing historical array of their product up at New Riff if you go to the Aquifer room up on the 3rd floor, I think it is.
And the best thing about it, unlike many other distilleries, you can go all the way back in time with their older releases and not pay a crazy price for them. They're they're very reasonable for things that are no longer available. So it's fun to go and try anything that you might have missed.
It's interesting that there's corn whiskey in this, and a pretty, almost 25, well, more than 25% of corn whiskey, 10-year-old corn whiskey.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them include that in any other product that I'm aware of. Are you?
No, I think I have everything they've ever released.
Yeah, and so I've got the Balboa Rye and the Aroostook Rye, but it'll be interesting to see what it does to the taste profile to have that in there, because it's a big enough percentage that it's going to affect it. And I've got full confidence they've made a wonderful blend of these things, but that's old product for New Riff, anything that's 10 years old. So.
Well, and it's interesting to know what those corn whiskeys have been aging in, and if they've transferred, because as we know, they had to be in a new uncharred oak barrel, which is probably unlikely because nobody does that. That's not cost effective, so it's in the used barrels, I'm sure.
Right.
And so they have a vast array of used barrels they could put it in. Not originally 10 years ago. They may have put it in new. But I guess it could have gotten somebody else's.
Could have been somebody else's barrels, but if they just put it in a new barrel, that would not make a lot of sense. But I'm not sure even at 10 or 11 years old that you're going to have a lot of flavor, but we'll find out, right?
Corn whiskeys are very slow to mature because of that. But
Well, and to our theme of wait, here's a release that you're not being able to get, right, unless you've already got your bottle when you went online. But it also is a charitable cause. The proceeds go to help something called Brighton Center in northern Kentucky. I checked that out a little bit. They are the breadth of the services they offer to folks in northern Kentucky is just astounding. It's everything from help with employment and housing and teaching financial skills to youth services, women's recovery services. They do some senior services. I mean, they seem to be a very broad spectrum service provider to those in need. And so I think kudos again to New Riff for supporting that.
Yeah, good. All right, so moving on. This is a brand we've talked about a couple times on the show. Minden Mill Distilling has announced the nationwide release of its Single Estate Nevada Straight Rye whiskey, a 94-proof, non-chill filtered, 4-year-old whiskey that reflects the unique high desert terroir of Nevada. Crafted with grains harvested from local fields under Minden Mill's direct oversight, the mash bill is 80% rye, 10% soft white wheat, which is unusual because everybody seems to use the red winter wheat.
Exactly.
But that may not exist in Nevada. And 10% estate malted barley. The whiskey is cut with The whiskey is cut from snowmelt-fed water from the Sierra Nevadas near Lake Tahoe. As a member of the Estate Whiskey Alliance and a licensed Nevada estate distillery, Minden Mill controls every step of production on its 1,200-acre estate. All grains are sourced within 5 miles of the distillery, and milling, fermentation, distillation, maturation, and bottling take place on site. Distillation is done using both a single head frame continuous stripping still and a Christian Carl hybrid still, located in a renovated 100-plus-year-old creamery. And it always sounded like a really cool place because they have separate distilleries for the... I don't remember now, the single malts and the bourbons.
Oh, really?
Is that it?
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't drill down on the website
that
far.
And then the whiskey's then aged in the Sagone Moreau, New American, and French oak barrels with a number 3 char in wooden rick houses designed to mimic Kentucky's Nelson County climate, which is also very cool. Mm-hmm. And Minden Mill, Nevada straight rye whiskey is available nationally for a suggested retail price of $45 and online on their website. So we said a lot there, but they gave a lot of information about the whiskey, so I like to share that.
We like that transparency, and I sort of like the summer malt water. That's a good phrase. We should keep that somehow, Ed. And it's like, but cutting stuff with snow melt, that's a nice local touch. You can't get snow melt here in Kentucky, so that part's going to be different from Nelson County. But that's really neat that they're sort of not mimicking but matching Nelson County. Conditions in their rick house is climate controlled apparently.
Yeah, it's like they have sensors in the rick houses and sensors in Nelson County, and it adjusts to match it on a day by day basis. I think when they first started, they were doing it like hourly, and that was of course unmanageable. So now I think it may not even be day by day anymore, but it certainly reflects the very short-term fluctuation. So it's not just, it's 60 degrees in Nelson County. It's actually mimicking Nelson County.
I wonder how they adjust humidity with that. I'm sure you could, right, between humidifiers and dehumidifiers, but temperature is going to be easier than humidity, I would guess.
I think they do humidity because obviously they're a very different climate than we are.
Well, I looked a little bit at the Christian Carl stills. They're made in Germany. I mean, they go back to, I want to say, 1869 as a still manufacturer. And so, to me, this is sort of like, not to take anything away from Vendome or anybody else, but it's sort of like a European car, right? Here's a European, German-made still. I'd love to go see that, too. I bet that's really beautiful from a mechanical process standpoint. I think they have... like aromatic plates in the still column, and you can adjust those to try and evoke different proof levels or flavors from the distillate. So it's just another neat part of what they're doing out there.
Yeah, it's very cool. And as I'm remembering more about it, and the single malt has its own complete separate distillery with the stills that would match what was used for European single malt production. So it's very cool. And we had talked about this a while back, and I've reviewed this already, so it's on the website. The reason it's on here today is because now is its nationwide release, so there's a press release, and now everybody can get it. So we're talking about it again.
Yeah,
but I liked it quite a bit when I reviewed it, and we need to revisit it.
Yeah. I think you let me try that. I remember they were tasty.
Tried them all. Yeah.
So I mean, and I like the single estate. I mean, I think as the market matures, the single estate designation is going to have some value to people. Yeah. It brings it makes it just more authentic, right?
Well, it's the transparency, which I think is
very
important.
Bourbon geeks like transparency. We all should, right? I want to know what I'm drinking, where it's coming from.
Well, people are telling you that it's different and it's got the terroir, and then you found out that, no offense, but it's distilled in Indiana or something. That's unsettling. So it's nice to know that everything here truly does come from there, so you are getting a taste of their regional area. And, I mean, that's...
filtered through the Nelson County climate, which is even a neater twist. So.
Yeah, so very cool.
Yeah. That's neat. What's up next?
Well, next is Proof and Wood Ventures has released a limited 10-barrel edition of Tumblin Dice Single Barrel Rye, finished for 1 year and used Laird's apple brandy barrels. The rye is crafted from a mash bill of 95% rye and 8% malted barley, distilled in Indiana, and aged approximately 7 years in new charred American oak before it's finished. This special release, I just noticed a typo in my newsletter. That's
going to be a 95.5, not a 95.8, folks.
No, it's the word period instead of an actual period. Oh, no, I guess that's actually belongs there, finishing period.
Yeah, finishing period. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Good, yeah. I did not make a mistake. I just did now. Right. Sorry, I digress. This special release is a collaboration with Laird & Company, America's oldest licensed distillery, whose barrels previously held 8.5-year-old apple brandy. The finishing imparts additional complexity and fruit character to the bold rye base, bottled at 118.9 proof and priced at $89.99. They didn't actually list the price on their own information. I got that from Sealbox, so I'm sure that's close.
It could be a little bit more or less because Sealbox has to make money, right? So,
yeah. And the whiskey is available in select markets and specialty retailers, and apparently on Sealbox. So, there you go.
So I haven't delved into the apple brandy finished products yet. I know there's some other people that have done that. It strikes me as an odd marriage, but who knows? It could come off very well, depending on your palate again and what you're looking for. I'm concerned that it's going to be overly sweet, and I don't know. I think of rye as having a spice to them, and I'm not sure I want sweet and spicy. But they're doing it right based on the ages of the bourbon and the length of time that the brandy was in the barrels, and so I'm sure they've done a great job of sort of melding those things together.
With the rye, it's definitely going to be a complementary kind of flavor.
Sure.
I don't know if it'll subdue the rye spices that.
I mean, this is a 95.5 rye, so what people think about the MGP 95.5 and how I'm going to call that rye forward. I can see the apple mixing well with that. You're going to get fruit, earths, grass, spice. Yeah, it sounds great the more I talk about it. So we'll have to see. I'll have to find this.
I think it's going to be really good because, I always say that I think that ryes are going to finish, that ryes generally finish with sweeter things better than bourbons do, just because the spice is more complementary as opposed to becoming overly sweet if you finish the bourbons with something sweet.
Right, because they're sweeter to begin with.
And this is the MGP 95.5 rye, so we know what that's like. That's going to be quite forward in those spices. So I think it'd be pretty hard for apple brandy to wipe them away.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to wipe out that 95.5. And there's just 10 barrels of this, so I don't know how many bottles. We don't know exactly how many bottles that translates into, but if you get 200 a barrel, that's 2,000. That's not a lot of bottles, and so, be interested to try this one. Sounds like a neat experiment.
And pretty reasonably priced, actually, for what it is as well.
Right.
So, all right. I like the trend of generally reasonably priced.
Yeah, well, proof point. We look at proof point and price quite a bit, and age. Those are the big barrels. Three things, right? Yeah, exactly. And so, there's a lot of expense in putting this out, and so, I think that's a very fair price for what it is.
Yeah, I'd like to try that, actually. All right, next, Buffalo Trace Distillery has introduced Sazerac Rye Whiskey 100 Proof, a higher proof addition to its rye portfolio crafted in response to bartender and whiskey enthusiast demand. Designed for enhanced flavor, versatility, and control in cocktails, the whiskey maintains the smooth, approachable profile of Sazerac Rye while delivering greater structure and richness. Available now in select markets at a suggested retail price of $29.99 per liter bottle, it also joins the Sazerac Barrel Select program, allowing select accounts to hand-pick single barrels and receive a commemorative barrel head. What do you think of that?
Talk about price points and value for the money. It's hard to beat $30 for a liter of Sazerac Rye, especially at 100 proof, right? I'm looking forward to trying this too. I think it's a nice bump up on the proof, and it also seems to me that this might be some indication of the increased production that Buffalo Trace has been working on for a while. I know they've had a lot of stuff just recently come online. There's no age statement on this, and so I don't know. There are age-stated Sazeracs. This isn't going to be one of those at this price point, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be a nice thing. Could be a good daily drinker.
Yeah, well, I mean, and clearly it was motivated by Rittenhouse Rye, Heaven Hills 100 proof that gets used by a lot of bartenders. And then, of course, Old Forester has a very reasonably priced 100 proof rye, just to name, a couple from the equivalent size big producers. So that is a popular price point for cocktail rye. And,
right.
My personal preference is I never make a cocktail with anything less than 100 proof for the most part.
Yeah, it's going to overpower it. All those other
Right.
flavors in a cocktail are going to just sort of wipe out the rye taste. So, yeah, I think this is a great ad for Buffalo Trace. It's not like they need help selling products, but
no,
this will
we're doing our part.
This will carve out another. Bartenders I think will like using this, and they're trying to, like you say, get into that market of the Rittenhouse, the Old Foe that are probably going to be standard back there for making cocktails. They'll get more sales from doing that.
Right, and I believe Rittenhouse, that was what it was originally released for at its 100 proof, to be a bar cocktail rye, and I think it's got a good placement in that area. So we'll see. Certainly. Well,
and Buffalo Trace has even more releases they're trumpeting this week. So what else do they have?
A little different price point. There's always one in every episode. So Buffalo Trace Distillery introduces 2 super premium wheat whiskey innovations. Weller Millennium No. 2, priced at $7,500 for a 750 milliliter bottle and bottled at 99 proof, is a new blend of ultra-aged wheated bourbon and wheat whiskeys distilled in 2001, 2003, and 2006. And Weller 18-year-old, $499 for a 700 milliliter bottle, bottled at 90 proof, is the oldest age statement in the Weller portfolio and an ultra-aged wheat whiskey, so not a bourbon. Both releases showcase the exceptional aging potential of wheat in American whiskey production and debuted in July 2025 in limited quantities. Weller Millennium is available via regular retail and on-premise channels, whereas Weller 18 is available via travel retail at select airports.
So
Do you have them both already?
That means my Weller 12 should be about $250, $300, right? I don't think I paid that for the last Weller 12 I got.
I hope not.
Didn't. So, yeah. Interesting expansion for those folks who are trying to create, collectible collections. Boy, that $7,500 price point, I don't remember what the first Millennium cost.
Well, you can just go to any store because it's pretty much still sitting there. Yeah, It was either $7,500 or $7,000. It was extremely closer, the same.
Yeah. So
anyway,
the 18-year-old is closer to my price range, but it's still not there.
But that's a $500 90 proof wheat whiskey.
Yeah,
frankly.
and it's 700 mLs.
Yeah.
So it's not, you got that.
So wheat whiskeys do not tend to sell at the same...
Right. Same price point as just regular bourbons or,
And there's a comparable out there because you've got the Heaven Hill Heritage, the 20-year... No, it's the 19 that's the wheat whiskey. The 20 is the corn whiskey. So anyway, and that's...
He's an encyclopedia, folks.
Which may or may not be correct. But no, I'm pretty sure it's the 19
I'm sure
that's the wheat whiskey. And that's expensive, but less expensive than this and at a higher proof point and a year older. So...
And maybe even more readily available, right? Because the only way you're getting this 18-year-old Weller is if you're traveling and you're going through probably a big airport like Los Angeles or New York or a place like that. They listed the airports on the website, but I don't remember all of them. But they were, it wasn't. You're not going to find it at the Lexington Airport, I would guess.
No, I'm just interested. I just wonder how many people are going to grab it thinking it's a bourbon.
Yeah,
because people don't. Read the bottles carefully, folks, because big difference.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm sure it's good. I don't know. We've talked about wheat in the past. As it gets older, it is not just this mellow thing that disappears into the bottle. It develops plenty of flavor on its own, and I have not tasted this, so I do not know what this one is like, but from experience with others, it develops more spice to it and more flavor and more fruit flavors, and it is just not something that disappears as you're always told wheat is added to the mash bill as a filler, which it's not.
No.
Yeah. So these higher content wheat whiskeys and other wheated.
Do you think how does it handle that much time in the wood? Does it develop some woody tannic flavors in your experience, or is it more just bringing out the fruits and the other
They
flavors?
seem to get pretty hot for their proof points, I find also, because the Heaven Hill 2019 when I first tasted. That's, I believe, bottled at 100 proof. And when I first tasted that was at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival, and with a number of people because they were giving it out to taste. And we're like, wow. I was like, is this like 120 proof? And they're like, and everybody thought that, and then it was 100. So that's again goes with wheat. Wheat does not behave how they tell you on tours. Wheat behaves. It is its own thing and has quite a bit of character to it. So yeah, maybe I'll get to taste this at some point. But certainly haven't tasted it yet. But I am interested to taste it.
There you go. Yep. So. I think I saw the Millenniums. They sent out little tiny sampling casks to some people. I saw a picture of one that was on Reddit where somebody had already sampled the Millennium. And if you want to go find that, go find it. I don't remember what they said about it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we didn't get one of those. So.
I know, yeah. But, hey.
We'll have to live vicariously.
It's not like you're going to
most
run
of the
out.
rest of the world.
You're not going to run out of things to sample. You're getting.
No, we're okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next and last is Hard Truth Distilling has released Mizunara finished sweet mash rye, a limited edition straight rye whiskey finished with toasted Mizunara oak. Bottled at cask strength, 124.7 proof, the release comes from just 21 barrels and uses Hard Truth's RW1 mash bill of 94% rye and 6% malted barley. Distilled grain to glass at Hard Truth, the whiskey debuted July 25th and should be available at the distillery and at retailers soon. The price was not provided, but I guess people that went to those events, or they had a big barbecue festival, which actually sounded pretty cool.
It did, yeah. Music, so barbecue.
Plenty of people know what it actually costs, but I'm not.
I could not find it anywhere on the web. As I looked and just couldn't find a price point. But Hard Truth is creating a real name for themselves, with their sweet mash process. And they're the Indiana bourbon that's not MGP, and so I think that's a nice area to carve out, and it'd be interesting to see what Mizunara finish does to their.
They're also the Indiana Rye that's not MGP.
Well, that's right. Yeah, right.
So we haven't tried this, but I do have friends that actually went to that barbecue festival and did try this and actually liked it quite a bit. They may have bought a bottle. I have to.
Let's hope so. Yeah. I couldn't tell. There's 21 barrels, so again, that's not a huge amount. I wonder if it's going to be distillery only, or if you're going to be able to get it at select retailers. They didn't really give much info about that on their website that I could find.
Actually, according to a recent newsletter from the distillery, they say that the Mizunara Rye will be available at a retailer near you or at the distillery. Well, and the way this is worded, finished with toasted Mizunara oak, makes me feel that they've added the oak as opposed to going into Mizunara barrels. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, there's also a good chance that they topped off those barrels, so those could be 21, full barrels as opposed to 21 aged barrels, so the quantity could be higher.
Be a little higher. Right, that makes sense. So.
Yep. Yeah. And then we just had this just in, so I do not know too much about this yet, but I will when I review it. But the Old Louisville Distilling Company is releasing their new line, the Kentucky series. They're all got letters on them, which spell out Kentucky, and they suggest you should collect them all. But this is an 8-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey bottled at 100 proof, and I don't know if you've all had much from Old Louisville, but I'm a big fan of what Amin does over there, and you can see the color in this 8-year-old too. His whiskeys, and that for 100 proof, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
His whiskeys are always very flavorful and very good. He works some magic over there, so I'm sure this is going to be really good as well.
How timely that we just got that, or you just got that, and it is. It's got a beautiful color to it. Yeah. It's a neat looking label.
Kentucky. Well, I don't think it can ever be exactly Kentucky Blue because it's trademarked.
Right. But it is
because my own website is one number off from true Kentucky Blue. So if it's ever challenged,
it's a little bit close to Carolina Blue, which scares me a little bit. But it's not.
Yeah, by
either,
getting Markel True.
Right. It's not that
either.
Is
that Kentucky Blue?
No, this is just blue. This is like Wild Forest Cafe Blue. So
It's awfully descriptive, but I'm not the color expert that Dean is. All right, so moving on, we'll be talking about that, or I'll have a review of that soon. Anyway, so finally, just a couple more things about the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I think there's still a few tickets left to the premium events, so if you're already a ticket holder and you want to go to any of those other premium events, there's some interesting ones on there, and check them out and buy your tickets. And they're also starting to add some of the after-party events are being added on. Bardstown Bourbon Company announced theirs, which is the Friday night of Kentucky Bourbon Festival. And I hear tickets, well, that always sells out, and tickets are already, I believe, selling quite rapidly. So
those are available through Bardstown Bourbon, not through the KBF site.
Yeah, they're on they're on the Bardstown Bourbon Company website. If you just go to their events and go to the page where the events for the Bardstown distillery are, because they're divided between Louisville and Bardstown, they're under that one, and you can buy the tickets there, which should still be available, but I suspect they won't be available for long. And if you're familiar with Bardstown Bourbon Company, they're always very good events. So
they are. Yeah, I haven't been to many, but the ones I've been to have been great. So again, a beautiful facility, and they've just made big waves in the bourbon world.
Yeah, so I'm sure this one's going to be really good too. I'm going to be there. All right.
Cool.
So that about does it for this week's episode. I hope you have enjoyed this edition of the Bourbon Obsessed New Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free, and therefore money-free, bourbon podcast. Please be sure to join us next Monday for our Bourbon and Distillery News Podcast. We'll have some exciting news to discuss. Also, be sure to like and follow us at your preferred podcast provider so that you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to tell all your friends too. You can also head over to bourbonobsessed.com to check out some of our over 350 reviews and over 50 distillery write-ups. While you are there, you can also sign up to have my newsletters delivered directly to your inbox. Finally, I can be found on Instagram at bourbon_obsessed and on Facebook at Bourbon Obsessed, and would love for you to follow me there as well. Dean, where can they find you?
Folks, find me on Instagram at Dean of Bourbon with underscores between those words, and keep an eye out this week. I'll post some pictures of some bottles of Obtainium whiskey that I acquired recently.
I thought we were supposed to be sampling that now.
Well, it's too early in the morning, so you're drinking your coffee still.
Well, it's 11:30 now.
I'm going to work on my kombucha. We're gonna hold off on those. Maybe next time we'll bring those out.
What was the proof?
181 proof on these. I didn't think you could obtain that. No pun intended. But I sampled them at the store, and they're really tasty for 181 proof, and they really pack a punch.
Well, that would be an eye-opener for sure.
It would. Yeah, don't put it in your coffee.
All right, well, cheers with coffee, folks.
Have a great week, folks.